After spending half of my life in South Korea, being a tourist here seems totally foreign to me. I do love the traditional architecture and clothing, but I've never been a fan of mindless crowds and endless queuing. After a 15-hour flight and a day beginning well before sunrise, I decided the best way to get over jet lag was to stay awake and keep moving with a steady supply of sugar and caffeine. So it is 3:30 in the morning and I just got here to Seoul, Korea at Incheon International Airport. I am really tired and I don't think anything's open at the moment, so just gonna see what I can see, and hopefully it won't take me too long to find a way to get to the city. It's really kind of strange actually being in the airport this early because there are so few people, and some of them are even just lying on benches sleeping. And of course, nothing is really open except for the currency exchange and one of the mini marts here, so maybe I can find some snacks or something. Ah, the infamous, famous banana milk. They've had this stuff forever. There are literally so many snacks here, I can't even decide what I want. I mean, too many choices. So one of the best parts about getting around Korea is that it is really easy and there's lots of options. Today I'm actually going with the bus. So I'm purchasing a bus ticket because it will drop me off exactly where I need to go. But I could also take a train, like the subway would take me directly downtown, or just a taxi, but that's the most expensive option and not one that I take very often. All right, now I'm just waiting for my bus to arrive so I can get into the city and find my hotel. I've decided that since I just got to Seoul today at 3 a.m., I should just get this tourist thing out of the way as soon as I can. So today I'm just here in one of the most touristy districts in the city, and that is Jongno-gu. And almost everybody that visits Seoul, especially if you've only got a day or two, will come here because it's got lots of the palaces, museums, other interesting things, traditional house streets. So this is definitely a spot that if you've watched any videos about Korea, you've seen this area of the city. And I don't get here too often, but I figured why not? And I can show you around and talk a little bit about what it's like to do the tourist thing while you're in the city. And right behind me is actually City Hall. And you can see the old City Hall, which is a more European style building, with the new City Hall behind it, which is this really cool glass building. It looks kind of like a wave coming over the old one. And that was built, I don't know, not that long ago, but I guess it's been a few years now. Something else you can probably see behind me is they're setting stuff up in this big plaza area here. And this is a place where they do a lot of things like that, where different groups will come and have some kind of gathering here for some event. Well, I guess they're calling this event the Seoul Outdoor Library. And again, they've got lots of stuff. It looks like little groupings of like sofas on the lawn and little tables where I guess people can gather to discuss their favorite book or maybe read whatever they want to. Kind of cool. Something that is really nice is that it's really easy to get around the city here. And in this area, there are lots of subway stops that you can go to. I just came over to Seoul City Hall, but you can also go up to this one called Gwanghwamun, which is another big square just a few blocks up, and that takes you right to the big attraction here that everybody wants to go to, and that's the big palace. There are several palaces. This one just happens to be the most spectacular of all of them, although it's not my favorite, but a lot of people love this one. So a lot of these larger buildings that you see along the main street here are actually businesses and companies. Seoul Finance Center, Kyobo Bookstore. I actually have a friend that works in one of them not too far from here. And if you know about Korean history, and that part particularly about the Korean War in the 1950s, these flags represent all the different nations that came over and helped with that war. And the US, where I'm from, was a big part of that, big part of our history. Right over here, they have this really, really fantastic river walk, and it actually extends quite far down. I mean, you could walk on this probably for a few miles. And they do events from time to time, like a lantern festival, where they put these lanterns right in the middle of the waterway here. It's really a nice place, especially if you just want to take a walk and kind of get away from the city streets for a bit. Okay, now I've finally made it to this massive square over here called Gwanhwamun. And this is really famous because it's an open area with several statues of Korean heroes. The tall one right behind me is Admiral Yi Sun-shin, and he's famous for some Korean battles. And then further up is a statue of the most famous Korean person, and that is King Sejong. And there's actually a there that you can go down underneath the statue, and it's really great, especially if you want to learn more about Korean culture, especially the language, because he was also considered kind of an inventor and a scientist, and actually came up with Hangul, which is the Korean alphabet. So if you're walking along the square, over on this side, you actually have the National Theater, and I've actually been there to see a play, Hamlet, performed. And if you look at the other side of the square, over that way, there's another big building, and that is actually the US Embassy here. I've only had to actually go there once, and that was enough for me. Something that I've noticed today, which I really want to comment on, that's not very nice, is the weather. And while it is a sunny day, the air pollution here is really out of control. And this, to me, seems to be getting worse. Back in 2005, when I went to visit China and then eventually lived there for a little bit in Beijing, the air quality was really, really bad. And they cleaned it up over time, and my last visit last fall, it was actually stunning to me how much better it was than what I was used to. But here, I feel like, especially in the spring, they get really bad air quality days, and I'm not sure exactly what they're doing to fix it, but hopefully they'll figure it out and try to prevent it, because I can actually feel it in my lungs today. I am not used to this quality air. And there he is, the king himself. Now, what I'm about to show you is something I have not seen a lot of other people do while they're here, and that is the museum under that statue. And it's really simple. You just walk around it, and then there's a door on the other side, and that's where you go down. And then there's some great exhibits there, especially about the Korean language and alphabet. The story of King Sejong. A lot of times when I come here, there are school groups, so children can learn all about him. And again, he is probably the most recognizable figure in Korean history. Oh, this is perfect. There's nobody here today. Wow, everybody's over at that palace. Yeah, you get lots and lots of history. You can read about it, and I think they've got a lot of artifacts down here as well to check out. They have like one of those thrones. You can sit down and get your photo there. And there's a lot of stuff on the walls to read, different manuscripts, and there's little flyers about the Korean language, Hangul, the alphabet. There's even some science stuff down here. Oh, you get little dioramas showing different scenes of Korean life. These are great. The thing that I really love about this museum as well is that it is really small. It's not a big place. And you can get out of the sun, which was really beating down hard outside. I'm a little shocked at how empty it is here today. Usually there are a lot more people down here. Maybe a lot of people don't know about it or just don't think about it because of the other things outside to do, like the palaces. The story of Admiral Yi Sun-shin. Oh, this has to be one of the best parts of this museum, or at least one of my favorite parts right here. You'll see it in a minute. There is a massive replica of that turtle ship that Koreans used in the olden days. And you can actually go on board it. So it's a whole interactive kind of piece in the museum here. And again, you get these small dioramas that you can see what the inside of the ship looked like and the different things the people on the ship were doing. Now, I think this is amazing, and I'm not even a kid, but you could see how kids would love this kind of place. Well, that's it. We've seen the entire museum, so it really wasn't big. And I kind of buried the lead on this one. This is totally free. You don't have to pay anything to come down here and enjoy this. So this Seoul library thing is everywhere. They've even got things set up here on this square. I mean, this seems like a really good thing because I guess it's really encouraging people to read, and especially children. So something that had never occurred to me was that because I got to the city so early and I've just been out and about, the palace I don't think is even open yet. So I think I might have to walk around and do some other stuff here, but there is a lot to check out in this neighborhood. And typically speaking, things do kind of open a little bit later here. So I got over here to Gongbok Palace, and this is the largest and oldest one in Seoul, and probably the most famous where all the tourists come. But again, I got up way too early, and I'm here before they even opened up the ticket booth. So I can't even go inside yet, but it is kind of cool that I was here before any of the crowds or a lot of people showed up. So I got some fun photographs of myself. And now maybe I'll just go for a walkabout and see what's around this area, because again, there is a lot more to do, and I'll just come back here when they actually open up the admissions office over there. I think it's also pretty cheap. I think it's like $3 to get inside, and it is a lot of walking, but it's really cool to see, especially if you like the traditional older style Korean architecture. Before I was talking about being a tourist today, and that is just kind of a funny thing because I lived in this city for quite a few years, and honestly, I came to this palace for the first time just a few years ago. So I've been living here and never thought for a second about visiting, but you know, I was working and I was meeting my friends and I was just living here. And if you think about that and about being a tourist, I mean, how many Parisians go and visit the Eiffel Tower all the time? Or how many New Yorkers go down to see the Statue of Liberty? How many people in Washington, D.C. go to the White House? So it is quite different when you're only coming here for a few days compared to actually living here. All that being said, I still like to go to the tourist spots, and there's a reason they're famous. There's a reason people love to go to them. And it is because they tend to be really beautiful places, and they have things that people want to see. Part of this area's appeal is the fact that it's the traditional mixed in with the modern and the new. Okay, so I just got some water, and I got on my little neighbor maps here on my phone, and I'm going to walk over to another place that every tourist has been since the dawn of time. And this is called Bukchon Hanok Mall, or Bukchon Hanok Village. And it's like an area on top of a hill across from this palace over here. So you have to walk up a bit to get there, but it's got these really cool older Hanok style houses. Now they are still residences, so people still live up there, and you really need to be respectful of that, be quiet, and just kind of enjoy it. A lot of people go up there to take photos because it does give you a really nice view, and it's very pretty. If you look right here, you can already see some of these older style buildings and little houses on the street. And we're just going to kind of weave between these roads here to get up this hill. Oh, look at this little narrow road. They got these really cute cafes here. Everything is kind of just opening up. It's still pretty early. In fact, there might not even be that many people up here, which would be fantastic, because usually this area is swarmed with tourists. I feel like the people here must really not appreciate all the tourists that come up, because that would get kind of annoying, especially if your home is here. So I do kind of feel guilty about coming up here sometimes, and I have been up here about probably 3 times. It's like a maze back in here, but again, all residential with a few businesses and some touristy stuff. But truthfully, the only way that I know I'm still going the right direction at this point is that I'm going up. Because this little area is the top of the hill, but there's a lot of little tiny streets that you can go through to get there. Okay, actually, I recognize this view over here. Coming up, if you come up to this gate and just look over that way, you get a view of some of those roofs over there by the palace, and you get some fantastic views of the mountains over there. I've definitely taken a few photographs with that behind me over there. Okay, now I'm feeling it because this hill is really steep, but like I said again, the worse my legs feel, the closer I'm getting. And I think it's actually coming up right over here. So I'm right there already. Wasn't actually too bad. There is no way I can do justice to this area with these rooftops here. It's just incredible to see. I mean, there's just so many of them. Well, I found it. This is the biggest tourist trap in Seoul. It is a pretty cool looking street though, but if you walk just over 1 block, I think there is an equally, if not cooler view, another street 1 over, that I would recommend you check out over the really popular one over there. Time for me to go back down. I'm getting tired. So I think the big palace is open again, and it is crowded. There are a lot of people now here. I'm gonna go in and check it out. I've been here probably 2 or 3 times before, but haven't gone in several years, so it might be cool to see it. It's just slightly busier than it was before. I mean, look at those crowds behind me. There's a lot of people. All right, so I've got my ticket right here, and I'm gonna go in there and check it out. So I just got inside the first courtyard area here, and I'm going to continue on because it goes into a lot of different areas, and it probably will take a while to walk through. You could probably spend all day here, actually. Now I'm just sitting down a bit in the shade. I just needed to get out of that hot sun. But back to talking about these traditional Korean outfits that everyone's wearing. A lot of people just rent them. There are shops all over the place to do that. And it does look like a lot of fun. Something from my personal life is I actually do have a hanbok, but I bought this from a real store. It's a real one. It's not like a costume. But while I was living here a long time ago, I decided that I should have one, especially for the holiday of Chuseok when I go and visit my Korean friends. So I do wear one, but very rarely, and it's a very nice outfit that I just keep kind of at home on display for the most part because I don't want to ruin it. There are so many guided tours going on here too, people speaking in so many different languages about this palace. I won't bore you with the history though. I'll just go with, it's quite old. It's from a different period in Korean history. Goes back centuries. And again, it's a massive complex. If I'm really being honest, I'm actually quite surprised how busy they are because today is a Thursday. Something that is great is that the further away you get from that front entrance of this palace, the less and less crowded it is because there are so many different places, so many alleyways and little streets running through these old Hanok style buildings that you can kind of get lost back here. And again, a lot of people will never walk all the way back. So you can find some nice quiet spots to get some good photographs or just relax for a bit. So there's an area coming up here with a pond with a pagoda in the middle of it, and it's always been under construction every time I've visited, so I see that it's open today. And I'm actually really excited because I think it's going to look real beautiful. So this lake was definitely worth seeing, and this is at the far end in the back. It is just really pretty, and I'm glad it's finally open. Again, like I was saying before, every time I visited this, which is only 2 other times, they were always doing some kind of construction where it was closed off, and you couldn't see the pagoda or even the water here around it. But definitely worth checking out, so don't just stay at the front of the palace. Get through the crowds, get to the back, and enjoy this. This is just really nice and far less crowded. Oh boy, I'm tired. So I had to find a place with shade to sit down. But I hope you guys have enjoyed kind of being a tourist with me, but I am all tourist out for the day. And probably for the rest of this trip. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. I hope you saw some cool stuff and probably what everybody else is doing here when they come for a day or two. Definitely worth checking out this area in Jongno-gu and Jung-gu. Anyway, take care, stay safe, stay out of the sun, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now. Thanks for joining me today. Life's a journey meant to be shared. Remember to always travel with an open heart and an open mind. Enjoy the ride and keep your eyes on the horizon for the next adventure. I'll see you out there.